Welcome to Strategy and Solidarity Pod, the podcast, an act of revolutionary defiance and a celebration of the things that bring us comfort, solace, and joy as we work to reclaim our humanity together. I am Carlos Kareem Wyndham.
And I'm Theresa Logan. Hey, Carlos, how's your nervous system doing today?
My nervous system is doing pretty okay. As okay, I think, as can be expected, given all of the things entailed in the world in which we live.
What does that actually mean?
Well, it means I've still got coffee and a little bit of food.
Feeling grounded, like you're able to navigate what's yours to do today.
Mm.
Saying like I'm surviving the shit show outside is true and honest, but it may not actually speak to the question of how your nervous system is doing as you're surviving all those things.
Yeah, I mean, sadly, the shit show feels as the new normal to me. It's whatever. It's whatever. It's Monday, glorious country and world that it is. How's your nervous system?
I'm doing all right. I think I am feeling resourced enough to do what's mine to do today. Not feeling shut down in a numb despair, nor hyperreactive, though it's been kind of a prickly week, I would say.
Yeah. Well, what are you comfortable talking about? Any of the prickles, or you want to just keep it moving?
I don't know that there was anything in particular. It's just like I think people are just extra annoyed and annoying. It just seemed like there was a lot of low-level irritation happening over the past week for various people in my life, but not anything that stands out enough to talk about.
Okay. All right. Well, we're just coming off of Mother's Day. How was yours?
It was fine.
All right. Well, this is an exciting edition.
Yeah,
it was fine.
I mean, I don't know. It was whatever. The kids sort of cleaned up a little bit, and my oldest daughter had been at a sleepover the night before and promised she was going to come home to help clean up the house and get things together because my mom was coming over. But she didn't do that in the way we had agreed to. So that was annoying. The children's father, who lives in my basement, was sick with a fever or something. My mother did come over. We had a little brunch, lunch kind of thing. It was fine. I'd say mediocre and semi-disappointing, but it was fine. Little child made me something, but there was very little effort or celebration invested on the part of my family.
Lo-fi Mother's Day.
My children in particular. Yeah, but it was fine.
Well.
How was your Mother's Day?
Unacknowledged, as my husband does not to this yet to this moment, to this degree, recognize my particular gender identity beyond what their experience with me had been. I wished them a happy Mother's Day, as I did my sister and many of the women in my life. Yeah, but I was keeping it very low key. Had a full weekend and week of shows and going out and dealing with things, and I don't think I talked. I think I did some vocal stimming in the later evening and afternoon, just kind of singing little songs to myself. But that was about it. It was rather nice.
Lovely tribute to your own mother that you put up on socials.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite pictures of her wearing one of our old concert T-shirts from the '90s, long time ago. That was nice.
Was it new at that time, or has she held on to it for a long time?
Oh no, she had put it on at that. That was the photos, not that old. That was I'm going to say maybe 2 years before she passed, something like that. So certainly not in the '90s. Yeah.
Was your mother your biggest fan?
Oh no, no,
No.
no, absolutely not. No, no.
Because she didn't like rap music, or just because you had so many other bigger fans?
No, she had no interest in our band beyond knowing that I was in it. No. Mm-mm.
Oh.
No.
I'm sorry.
No. Well, I mean, I'm not. I don't know. She
wasn't your target audience.
No. No, Vivaldi was her jam, so it's very different.
Oh, okay.
Different kind of thing. Yeah. I found out Mother's Day had begun as a call to peace and to nonviolence and to warriors, little boys who were forced into armies and conscripted armed forces. To much like Thanksgiving was meant to be the recovery and the letting the Confederates back in the country, that was a day of like, okay, wait a minute now, let's not have global war. Maybe let's just slow this down a little bit.
What are you talking about?
Oh, that it was a little history of the day, of the founding of the day situation.
This was your research, or this was something someone else was speaking to?
It was something somebody was speaking to, but I followed it up. Let me see.
Mother's Day was like some anti-communist propaganda or something. It's like, here, we'll give you flowers on one day and then we'll exploit you the rest of the year.
Well, I'm sure that there's a lot of that involved with
for
it.
Keeping the economic system going through your paid labor and unappreciated contributions.
Gotta get that free and unpaid labor. You need that. Damn it, I can't remember where I
didn't
saw
see
it
it this year, but they often put out that thing like if you had to pay someone to do everything a mom does for the household, how much it would cost you. It's a lot. It's usually like $250,000 or $1 million a year or something.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what I heard or where I heard it. Maybe it was some nonsense.
Great.
Nope. After the Civil War, it was Mother's Friendship Day to promote reconciliation again.
Oh.
To bring Confederates back into the family. I did not know that when I just started saying this.
That was the origin of Mother's Day?
Yeah, Anne Reeves Jarvis in 1850 organized Mother's Day work clubs to teach local women how to care for to teach local women how to care for their children, said this rich woman, and to improve sanitary conditions after the Civil War. She organized Mother's Friendship Day, again promoting reconciliation between Union and Confederate families. The other person was Julia Ward Howe, who was distressed by the carnage of the Civil War, as well as that of the Franco-Persia War. She was an abolitionist and suffragist who wrote the Mother's Day Proclamation in 1870. And this is the more popularized and much more liberal version of it, where it was about having a Mother's Day of peace. So it was basically calling for end to war. That was the 1870 updated version. Before, of course, it turned into the day that cis-het men buy flowers from a Mexican in the street and try to pass it off as something thoughtful. Is that not what is that not what Mother's Day is these days? Feels like it.
I don't know. When my grandmother was still alive, we would all go out to brunch together at a nice restaurant.
Yeah, that's what it used to be. I remember I had to take my grandmother to brunch one time.
We usually made some kind of card or a little gift at school for our moms for Mother's Day. Like a jewelry box made out of macaroni, spray painted gold or something with handprints, or flowers made out of little construction paper cut out hands or something.
I learned about my mother's slight emotional instability and depression one Mother's Day when it was a forgotten holiday because my father was not invested in organizing the children to do much. And
sounds right.
So the cartoon that I offered, I'm a very good illustrator and was then too, that I offered, I think I drew Hagar the Horrible out of the Sunday Comics or something. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, by the time that landed across her desk, it was fine. Whatever. Didn't matter. Yeah, I don't know that Hallmark getting...
She was dissatisfied with your drawing, or
she was just dissatisfied
to her,
with the making it up and with the initial forgetting.
No one invested or made any effort to celebrate Mother's Day.
No, not initially. Not initially. Yeah, we didn't. I didn't even know. I was like, "What?"
No, y'all didn't make little things for your moms at school.
Not but that we were in
projects.
We used to, especially when I was at Bixby at the small private school that I went to first, the little Montessori place, but the public school investment in Mother's Day was not articulated very loudly by the mid '80s. So no, not a lot cracking, not a lot cracking. But I don't think Hallmark should be able to take the entire country hostage multiple times a year about days that they just made up. Say it again.
You can make a card. You can do lots of things that don't involve Hallmark.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That's just, we're so far past that at this point, right? Like, I mean, the celebration of like the feminine of mothers, of mothering, all of that, I think that is wonderful. I think that's a daily task that all of us should really step up to in much more meaningful ways. My healthcare, equal pay, or all sorts of things like this.
Yeah.
Parity. Child care, protection of health services, all sorts of things.
Be better than breakfast in bed,
or shitty flowers from an Ecuadorian on the corner.
I made my mother a beautiful bouquet of flowers from my yard.
That's nice. That is not
everybody has a yard with flowers in it. I don't know why you got to insult people getting their flowers.
But well, listen,
I would take health care.
I'm talking about the thoughtlessness of these dudes who forgot the day entirely and then remembered when they saw the person standing on the corner and then bought the wilting flowers home and brought them home.
Your father? Who are you talking about?
No, I've been watching dudes do it all weekend. I was driving around. I was seeing dudes at the corners like buying their little flowers for Mother's Day. I was like, my God.
Oh, really?
Yes. Same thing happens Valentine's Day. It's like just the thoughtlessness of it just astonishes me.
Yeah.
I mean, I know listen, I was raised as a boy. I know the dude codes. And so
I
when I see the actions, I'm like, oh, I see you.
I would be happy to sacrifice Mother's Day if we could have universal childcare and healthcare and pay equity. I'd be happy to give that day up if we could
Oh,
have things
very.
that actually made life as a mother more manageable.
That would be the everything. How about universal child care? That would kind of take care of a lot.
Yeah, I said that like 3 times.
Did I?
I did.
You did. I'm going
I
to say it
said
again.
that like 3 times.
I'm going to say it again. Universal child care would take care of so much.
What a novel idea.
But yeah, my friend Theresa was talking about it. Well, that's what I know about the history of Mother's Day and how it began.
Interesting.
It's.
I mean, we could use that now.
I don't know if we need a holiday to bring the Confederates back into the fold again. I think I'm
No,
good.
I mean an end to war and maybe just a moratorium on men in positions of power. Just have women take over for a while.
Oh, I thought you were just going to say to men. I was like, yes. But
I
then
mean,
you finished the
also,
thought.
but like, I don't know where we would go find all of the what were they called in Thanos' glove? Universe gems or
Oh, you're talking about the stones?
eternity stones. What were they called?
Yeah. What-
How would we get those?
to snap them
Thanos
off?
snap away all the men.
Oh my God, that would be so something. Ooh wee! It'd be like we'd change the whole globe to Themyscira, the land of the
Themyscira?
Amazons from Wonder Woman, which again
Yeah.
makes no sense at all because if they are Amazons, why are they not from Amazonia? Why are they not from the Amazon? Why are they white? Why are they Greek? Listen, let's not get that deep into it.
I think the original Amazons were like Greek or up there somewhere.
Is
In
it?
Greek mythology, the Amazons were not from Brazil. They were from somewhere
They weren't from
in that
Brazil?
region. No, they were no.
I don't know Greek history from Greek schmistery. I don't know nothing about it.
They were somewhere in that part
Thor.
of the world.
I know Thor. Is that Greek?
They were probably like Thor.
Or that's Nordic.
I think it's Nordic.
That's Nordic. And I don't know what that means even. I just know that word.
Like
Anyway.
Norway? Anyway. Okay. I said like Norway.
Well, yeah. Okay. All right. That makes sense. Sure. Sure. I mean, if we're going to be, thinking
Okay.
through
Should we just
logically.
keep talking about things we don't quite fully understand?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
That's some good listening.
That's how Dax Shepard is famous. We
I feel
don't
like you
have
said
to
this
know.
name last week, and I still don't know who that is.
I love that for us both times, and I'm going to keep. I think that's what it is. Tell me, so how have you been enjoying Dax Shepard's podcast?
I don't know who that is.
Exactly. You said that you wanted to talk a bit about the the inherent anti-blackness of this country, but in a very specific way. What were you talking about?
Well, I was just listening to an episode of Code Switch where they were talking about the Supreme Court decision that gutted what was left of the Voting Rights Act, which was the last in a series of decisions from this very conservative Supreme Court that's been systematically dismantling the Voting Rights Act and the ability for giving back the ability to the South in particular to just redistrict all black votes out of any meaning. I think what happened was immediately after that Supreme Court decision, Tennessee redistricted their map and cut Memphis into 3 different congressional districts. So they separated all the black votes in Memphis out into 3 different districts where they would be overwhelmed by more rural white Tennesseans and lose all of their like one Democratic congressional seat in the state.
That's fun.
It also happened to be a black seat.
What? No way.
And suggesting that this may be the greatest single loss of black representation in Congress since Reconstruction, perhaps even greater than the loss during Reconstruction. And they're just wildly going out there and redistrict things in the middle of election cycles, not waiting for the normal time to do it, just to try to go win Trump some more seats in the midterms, I guess.
Yeah, they were trying that, and then for the first time that I recall, since the fascists had openly decided to try to take over the country since January 6th, the Democrats actually showed up and showed their spines a little bit and started doing their own redistricting. Like, okay, bet you redistrict, we redistrict. How about that? And I don't think that's a better answer. That doesn't seem better. It just seems like a whole lot of cutting up the country into smaller slices. But, listen, they're not going to feel good about what they've done. They're not going to win anything out of it. And it's just, what is happening even? I don't even understand any of this anymore.
I think the same thing is happening that happened after Reconstruction, which is they're trying to drag back all the rights we barely eked out over the last 60 years and reset to what the founders intended, which was a white supremacist state where black folks were mostly enslaved and indigenous folks were hunted. That's what I hear every time they talk about what the founders intended.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They keep trying to reset, drag us back to original factory default settings.
Well, I mean, original factory default settings would just be white squatters starving in their little hovels and maybe being helped out by a couple of different nations who were willing to do so.
Of colonization or of the Constitution? I feel like there had been more.
Oh, Constitution. I went all the way back to colonization. I went even further back into the thing. You know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm like, I don't know that there's this whole, like, let's reform the Constitution as some sacred document. Like, no, it's a white supremacist document of structural harm and violence. I feel like we could do better. But you've heard me say this many times. Like, we need a new constitutional convention. It's hard to fathom how these 50 states will continue forward as one united nation.
Yeah.
And there are such incredibly different desires and paths forward being laid out, and they're becoming increasingly difficult to reconcile. Comes back to that place where I'm always like, sometimes you just gotta get divorced. Not every relationship can be salvaged. I think this one has done enough damage to the world and to the people within. It's time to break this up.
Yeah, they've been working.
It's not.
Certainly since Reconstruction. Yeah, right. Certainly since Reconstruction, they've been working to disregard and disinherit the black vote. Scalia was a bastard of a bastard who, best friends with Bader Ginsburg. Gotta love that. And said that in 2013 was talking about how the Supreme Court's need to renew the Voting Rights Act, and this is in 2013, was the perpetuation of racial entitlement. What?
Who said
like
this?
What does that even mean?
Scalia said that?
Scalia said that in 2013. Like, so protecting voting rights, protecting the right to vote for every citizen. To even logically twist that into that being a perpetuation of racial entitlement just means words don't mean things. Like, that just does not make any, like,
No, it means that their adherence to the bell curve, right? Like they believe like everyone should be treated equally and everyone has a fair shot in this country. And if you're not succeeding, it's your own fault. And black folks would do better if they worked harder. And so they're just coming from that colorblind racist place where they're refusing to acknowledge that structural racism exists, that there are factors beyond our individual personal control that influence and deeply restrict the possibilities of our lives. And just saying that anything that seeks to enshrine rights for black folks, especially in places where they have historically been violently excluded from civil rights and voting rights, that is in and of itself an act of racism, which doesn't make any sense if you actually know what you're talking about. But from their mindset of this colorblind meritocracy, they, you know, they
I think that's
believe that
the
they're
version.
superior.
Yeah,
and so of course
I think
they're
that's
doing better.
the propaganda that they put out about what they're doing. I think they know full well. I think they've known full well. That's what Project 2025 is. That's why Justice Roberts is finding himself up Schitt's Creek right now. That's why the commentary on Thomas is only now caught up to things I was writing in 1994. Like, you weren't supposed to talk that way about a Supreme Court justice in the 90s, but that certainly was not done. And there was still so much deference given to the idea that they were somehow going to find themselves moving toward the arc of justice. And I think a lot of that was on the tails of the tailcoats, rather, of Thurgood Marshall. And, once they found and purchased their own black, and then, of course, they found a dark-skinned one, Project 2025, and every project that had led up to that, including Gingrich's War on America, was, there's just nothing new about it. Again, to the Mother's Day thing, it's like, yeah, of course. It's always about bringing the white boys home. Like, there's no other thing happening in this project aside protect the white boys. Yeah, I don't know. I thought you might jump in.
About protecting the white boys.
Well, once you're talking about like how do we get reconciliation, not the 1870 version, the 1840 version. How do we get the reconciliation for these Confederate assholes back into their families? Very much like these Trump voters running around now talking about, oh, please forgive me, please forgive me. Fuck you. You saw what was happening.
I haven't.
Oh yeah. They're trying to.
Please forgive me.
Oh, they're trying to get off the fucking Trump train.
They want to forgive them.
They want to get back in their families.
Nobody needs to forgive you for you to get off.
They want to get back in their families. They want to get their jobs. They want their friends back. They want their nieces and nephews and children to forgive them and love them.
I haven't seen any of this.
Yeah, it's wild behavior. Wild behavior. Like, no, there's no. The off ramp is easy, but there's no coming back from that. Like, you literally have been siding with somebody who referred to anyone who doesn't vote for him as vermin. Like, I don't understand. Like, good luck. I don't know, but it really does feel like it's a race to the finish between these two parties that exist right now.
What are they finishing? What's the race? What are they racing?
Oh, a race to the finish of the country.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Everyone loves to hate on the Democrats, and there's not a shortage of reasons to do so. But that's also the only place you have people really putting up any kind of meaningful fight, like the two reps in Nashville who were, I think it was Nashville, protesting the redistricting in Tennessee and burning the Confederate flag inside the state house, and protesting the redistricting.
And were consequently arrested.
Yes, they were. Which is what happens when your protest actually interrupts the levers of power and isn't just a dance party in the street. Yeah, I don't know. People are like, we need another party. It's like, great, start one. Start building in local elections. You're not going to get a third party president who's going to win. And even if he did, he would have no power in Congress without a meaningful coalition to actually implement anything. It's not a hero movie. We don't just need a hero. We need actual organizing and strategy on the local level up through all the levers of power, not just treating it like it's a American Idol once every 4 years or something. Getting mad that they can't implement everything we want them to.
Yeah. You were saying something about while they were planning 2025 or something, we were talking about pronouns. What were you saying?
Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly what I was saying, but there was something I was sitting with of just thinking about all the time that we were doing conversations around microaggressions, and people were teaching all their implicit bias trainings, which was not what we ever really did. They were organizing to dismantle the Voting Rights Act. And just thinking about the ways that the discourse around like DEI and a lot of that work, the way it was done, was really focused on like changing hearts and minds and like bringing more people along and helping them see and helping them learn and trying to like educate while missing the structural pieces and the structural point. And so this big campaign of education instead of a campaign of organizing to actively push forward our own structural agenda instead of this like hearts and minds, we're all on the right side agenda. That I think is what a lot of DEI got co-opted into. A lot of focus on personal and interpersonal relationships and not enough on structure and organizing and building and maintaining power. That's not how you and I worked. We spent a lot of time and effort trying to get people to understand the structural things and think about how they could, make impact the structures and the ecosystems in which they navigated.
Mm.
But the, viral anti-racist movement of 2020 to 2022 sort of started dying off was really about that, like, how do I virtue signal that I'm a good person and not say the wrong words, instead of like, how do we actually build power that gives us the ability to reach and pull the levers of power instead of just building a coalition of people who feel good about themselves for doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Maybe that's overly harsh. I don't know.
I mean, it depends on, again, right? Like, I think the only thing about that analysis, and it really does merit discussion, which is why I was asking you about it, is just about whom we're speaking when it's said, right? Because it sounds harsh if you're talking about the movement as I know very few folks who have been involved in the far left who for one moment did not have a materialist as well as gender-based as well as racial analysis of what they were doing and how they were moving. Not that they all have succeeded, Certainly they have not, but that the analysis was there, and that the conversation was there, and that the conversation was there in studying and reading and conversation. Now, that said, it was very different because I'm talking about organizers, I'm talking about leftists, I'm talking about folks who have gone on to continue teaching, including the Soul School in the Bay Area, Soul Sunday School, and a lot of the folks who are the children, grandchildren of the Black Panther Party, of the Brown Berets. So it's an analysis where, yes, book club, right? But also then what do you do with that? And then what do you do for the rest of the week? Like that can't be what's happening. And I do think that over the last 2 years, well, that the 2 years of which you spoke anyway, certainly there were a lot of books being sold and a lot of lectures being had. And yeah, not a lot of structural movement.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the hardest core radical leftists. I'm talking about mainstream people who were trying to do equity work without really having any sense of what they were doing other than trying to like build kinder, better white people, which unfortunately is the way a lot of that work got framed of we got to help them understand and they need to know, and doing the privilege walks and the, giving them lists of things not to say, or I'm talking about watching the numbers of community groups that we saw blow up because they would get into interpersonal conflict or, harm. And I'm not saying don't address racialized harm when it happens. We spend a lot of time trying to help people develop policies and protocols for supporting working through racialized harm in as productive of a way as possible that centered the needs of the person who was most impacted, not the person who did the impacting. And so much energy went into this policing of language and microaggressions and other things that was like, if we get people to like perform and speak the right way, and I'm mostly talking about white progressive or liberal spaces, that would somehow fix everything. And the focus became on the performance of purity or the virtue signaling rather than actually building structural power to understand what we're up against.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the problem with big L liberalism is just, that like it is such a political position of comfort and convenience anymore. The idea of sacrifice, the idea of shared responsibility, the idea of throwing down, like, just is not part of that at any side of the aisle. But I mean, and clearly I'm not talking about the faction that is millennial and below, and including obviously AOC. And I'm not looking for perfection from any of these folks because it's an imperfect system. There have to be a great number of sacrifices. I think that the difference, not sacrifices, compromises. I think that the difference, though, is, that you can see is that those who are more left bound, really all that means at this point is recognizing the needs of humanity. And then, of course, the corporate Democrats, you've got your Fettermans and your Cory Bookers who, God bless them, ain't worth a shit. The way we're ping-ponging and just going back and forth is amazing. It's amazing. I'm loving the energy. It's all there. It's like lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, I mean, that's a place where I run into the challenge, though, of like just continuing to pick whoever already has reached a position of power and then saying why they're not shit and tearing them down, I don't know what that gets us unless you have someone to replace them with, or you're trying to leverage them to get them to move on your agenda item. Like this constant just place of critique of who's not doing what correctly. It's not getting us towards power or collective movement. It's just getting to us into a place of sitting back and critiquing one another to death. Like, great, they're not worth shit, but who are you going to replace them with? Where are they? Are you lobbying for them? Are they not worth shit, but you could get them to move on one issue that is actually very important to you? Like,
well, they're being lobbied. I mean, that's the thing, is the whether it's in the places where they are continuing to make mistakes of having these people show up places like I've had a podcast, right, where they have to then face off with Jen talking directly about like what the fuck was up with that vote and what are you doing? Like, why are you taking so much of that APAC money? And then him having to try to answer that, to the place of these liberals not being willing to reconcile the idea that our from the United States point of view, endless thirst to dominate and control everybody else's political and moral agenda, simply so that we can extract wealth. Because really, we don't give a fuck about morals. We don't give a fuck about politics. We'll do whatever if we can get more money in the coffers of the wealthy. And Saudi Arabia should be very clear example of that, as should all of the money that's taken from AIPAC. And yet they feel, the Cory Bookers, that they've got something to say to the generations below Gen X, who they think they can come out with their script, right, and start talking all the Democrat talking points. And it's like, bruh, we know how much AIPAC money you're taking. And when he is asked specifically by the leftists, by the young, by those who are actually in the movement, hey, what do you think you're actually accomplishing by losing all of these votes? And how can you be lobbying for Israel to keep its nuclear arms, for the United States to keep nuclear arms, and coming up with embargoes on Iran and disacknowledging the genocide? And the bob and weave and rope-a-dope that happens listening to this goofball talk is the part where it's like, quite frankly, I mean, go be on the talk circuit with Van Jones. We don't need you here. We do not need you here. You're not helping at all. You are not help. You're standing out there, and you stood there for longer than any Democrat and blabbed and blabbed and blabbed. And great. What happened at the end of that? You got promotion. You sold your book. Like, if there's not an actual strategy or a movement around what you're doing, then what, it becomes an exercise of ego. It's not an exercise of building, of movement building, right? The movement is shattering underneath the weight of these self-enriching jerk-offs, himself included. And he's certainly not Fetterman.
Pointing that out does not change it.
No, but the lobbying.
Pointing that out doesn't change it.
But the lobbying that is happening, right? And I think that pointing it out is essential, because if we don't, then it's not going to change. Can't just let these people sit up in there and do nothing.
Yes, but it does not inherently change anything if he keeps getting elected and you're not one of his voters. Like, you're not one of his constituents.
So what would you have us do?
I'm just saying, on the broader level, like, yes, we should critique these things when they go there, but it's not enough. But so what are we trying to do about it? Just sitting here and like throwing stones or rotten tomatoes at everyone we think isn't doing it correctly? Because I'm talking about, yes, at that scale of Congress, but also at the scale of our local nonprofits and our community groups, where the same thing happens, which is just like, you're not doing it right. You're a terrible person. You're full of shit. Da, da, da. Having that kind of critique of the people who are in leadership positions without then actually proposing any solutions or next steps, or who is the candidate you are, lobbying, or you're, what do you call it, for campaigning for, to replace him What is the thing where he won't move on this, but you could get him to move on that, to move strategically and actually trying to build power instead of just critiquing to death anyone who's in power so that we continue to lose power, which is what it feels like has happened over the last decade. I'm saying there's not organizing to go along with a critique. I'm not saying don't critique people. I'm saying critique them to build something and build power. And right now there's a lot of people sitting around having a lot of critiques and sharing their think pieces on the internet, but not doing as much advocacy and organizing work in real life to actually move the needle on things that matter.
Yeah, that is the part that I don't know that I necessarily agree with or bears out. It feels to me based on, and it may simply be right which windows we're looking through, because again the world is so fractured at this point that there's not even a shared understanding of what the news is, much less what vein to follow once you get into the news. But the critiques that I'm looking at around Booker, right? Around, and not just Booker, but around the corporate Democrats specifically, and around the generational shift that is happening in the Democratic Party. If we are not articulating, in particular, late stage, what do you call yourself? Geriatric millennials? That is such a dumb term. Just
it's
millennials.
Not a term I've ever used. No, I don't consider myself a millennial.
Well,
Class
whatever.
Of 2000. It's my generation.
Okay. So anyone who's not a young person in the movements and in politics, it seems very much that at this point, it is 100% our obligation to point out to those who are in our peer groups and peer set, hey, the way that we have been doing it, and this is why, and this is what's up, and this is Memphis, AOC, where we need to be going, right?
Jasmine Crockett, who lost her seat
Jasmine
to
Crockett,
I believe.
This is the direction in which we need to be moving. And
Absolutely.
because we are not if we are not, because we are not, this redistricting thing is happening the way that it's happening. Had they but listened to the youngest constituency of their voters in the last round, we would have an entirely different president. We would be in an entirely different circumstance. It would feel more like status quo for a little bit longer. It would not be status quo because we cannot maintain a status quo. And I'm sure their rambunctiousness would be heightened even further, those on the right. Yet, we would at least have some way, there would be a path through the forest. Right now, what are we doing? There's a landmine in every corner. Nobody knows what the hell's going on. And so I'm seeing an entire generation of politicians my age and older just grabbing everything that they can and making a run for the fucking hills. And Booker amongst them. And if they're out there putting themselves out as the champions of the people, it does seem to me that folks who are doing the political education, who are doing the building of community and platform and community voices, who are trying to create something new, have to be able to concurrently hold the space of looking at what is happening or has happened and say, hey, yeah, not that. That ain't it. And the line in the sand is the AIPAC money.
But you just spent all this time talking about Cory Booker, and neither one of us lives in his congressional district. We'll never have a chance to vote for him or vote him out. And we haven't said anything about what we're actually trying to build. Where is the hope? Where is the inspiration? What is it we're moving towards? Spending all our time focusing on what's wrong and what needs to be dismantled and destroyed does not help us get to, then we're just burning everything down without thinking about what are we actually planting and cultivating and creating.
So you say all of our time as though we hadn't just named 5 other politicians who are actually doing the work. You and I do the teaching.
Yeah, but if we go back and look at the recording, they got a name drop, but we spent 20 minutes talking about what Cory Booker is doing wrong. And that's just, just looking at like, where are we putting, as a strategy, where do we put our time and effort and attention? And we do have an addiction to what's not working culturally and in liberal spaces in particular, where folks are in progressive spaces worried about trying to look like the most righteous, the most radical, the most woke. Where it becomes a battle of like who can point out the most things that someone else is doing wrong. And then we start to lose sight of why does it even matter? What is it we're trying to create and build towards? Yes, let's point out what the problem is, but also let's spend more of our time focused on the things where we have power to actually build and create together instead of just sitting here and, telling the people over there what they're doing wrong. When they don't care, because we don't live in his district and we don't vote for him. So he don't really care whether what we think of him.
Okay. I mean, that's, it just is, that seems very short-sighted to me because he does care, as does Gavin Newsom, because they want to be the president. They give a big shit what you think and what I think. I don't think they're going to get that chance. I don't think either one of them is equipped in any way.
Unless you got money for them, they don't.
Wow. Okay. So we have no power. We shouldn't talk about it. Fuck it.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying we should put more of our time and energy into who is it that we want to vote for? Who is winning our local elections here? Who is going to be our next governor in the state we actually live in? And what does it take to recruit people into those positions who we actually want to see as leaders? Instead of just dealing with whoever has enough ego and money to put themselves into those positions. Like, how do we get into that place of really organizing and building up leadership and promoting the leaders we want into those positions instead of just getting stuck with whoever comes up next and being like, well, they're all terrible. Is it just that isn't helping us build or get anywhere?
Okay. Doesn't feel like we're having the same conversation, but it doesn't feel like we're able to make any movement here. So I don't know what to do with this.
I don't think we need to. We're sharing our perspectives coming from different places. A culture of constant critique without room for like growth and creation, I think is a challenge. And I see your point that critique is absolutely necessary. It's just, I think, finding a balance between that so that your critique is in service of creating and cultivating something and not just in service of knocking someone down off their pedestal or destroying what's been there.
And what you're hearing is just critique. That's what you're hearing.
I wasn't speaking to you in particular only. I was speaking to the cultural patterns that I see.
Mm-hmm.
That I think are a problem because we've spent all this time critiquing everyone who's in leadership in the Democratic, coalition, we'll call it, because there's lots of different kinds of Democrats, while the MAGA Republicans for the past 50 years have just been actively seeking to gain control and power. And then that's why we have lost. It's because they were worried about winning and gaining power, and we were sitting here kind of infighting and critiquing each other to death. Over legitimate topics, for sure, but not in a way that was actually helping us like build or grow, it feels like.
Yeah, I hear that, I guess.
I mean, it's mattered, right? Like I was listening to, I listened to some of these NPR podcasts and I'd stopped listening to a lot of them around the time you and I started working together because they were just very white. It was very white, liberal, progressive approach on a lot of those NPR podcasts back then. And it got to a point where I couldn't really listen to them anymore because there was no racial analysis and it just like was like watching black and white TV or something. Like it just was missing a whole, or something two-dimensional instead of three-dimensional, missing a whole range of analysis and meaning by having no racial analysis or critique. And I've started listening to some of them again recently, and they almost all, to a one, have a fairly decent racial critique in there now. And that's come from the work that people did over the years to point out where that was missing and what the impact of that was, and people who are willing to listen and learn and evolve their approaches. So I'm not saying that it doesn't matter. It absolutely matters. And there's a piece around power that I think has been lacking in our analysis of how to build it and wield it.
Yeah, I guess that analysis for me, yeah. I mean, I think it's a fine analysis. I think one of the missing pieces is just the materialist reality, like the thing that they have, and that there's zero way around is more money than God to pay whoever they want to do whatever they want. So the idea of dismiss, well, it and perhaps it's not meant to be that, but it sounds like dismissing the people's power that has been and continues to be built, and dismissing the need to critique those who are in power, who wield power, and would place themselves on the national stage. I mean, there's a reason that you and I know who Cory Booker is. We didn't vote for that. That's like, it's not like you turned on the TV and decided to watch the Cory Booker show. This motherfucker just be out here. You know what I mean? And has chosen to place himself as the lawn jockey for the Democrat Party right now. I mean, that's his choice to make. That's his shit to do. But it does seem very much that in critiquing him, it is a critique of how the Democratic Party has an establishment has worked. It does seem that without that critique, talking about what would be necessary in terms of protecting both the lives and the votes of the people in Memphis, of protecting the seats of Jasmine Crockett, of not offering forward, not even not offering forward, of offering forward historical analysis that includes being able to not even within the very, very limited time that you and I have been politically active people, compared to how long they've been trying to dismantle Reconstruction since its birth, be able to give the historical lines of, yeah, this is all of Antonian Scalia, and this is all, he was the spokesperson born off of white lash that was born as a result of what was happening with Thurgood Marshall, which was happening, the result of what happened with Johnson, the result of what happened with FDR. All of that was happening because of the outside pressure and the people critiquing and criticizing these people, right? And so without that pressure, in equal measure to, in order to protect those who are coming up and have their own clear agenda, it seems like dismissing and or moving away from that before the job is done means that transformation that you just spoke about, for instance, at NPR, that you miss being there in and part of and directing that evolution if you're not part of the discussion, right? And that
yeah, I didn't dismiss it or say don't ever criticize anyone. I said invest at least as much, if not more, of your energy in what you're actually trying to build, not just what you're against.
Absolutely.
Not just your critique.
Absolutely, right? And it began with the with the discussion about the young ones and the things that they've been doing and have been done, right? It just seems, and I don't think that we've gotten into a whole lot of the specificity of the compromises and bootlicking that is done by the corporate Democrats. What I talked about specifically is taking in money from the Israeli lobby and carrying that torch and refusing to engage in any meaningful way. I think that plus the intellectual dishonesty. Well, and it speaks to what you were saying too, right? Because the intellectual dishonesty that I really truly feel like exists in adults of like, well, we don't know, and I don't know, I just need another book. No, you motherfucking don't. You live in this country, you grew up here, you goddamn know. You want to switch places with a poor black person? Because if not, then you damn well know. And so, or an immigrant woman, would you like to switch places with an immigrant mother? I dare you. And if that is not something that we're prepared to say, well, it wouldn't make any difference because we're all living in an equal society, and say that honestly, right? That the critique of the individuals who are holding up that society as the spokespeople is not, for me, much different than criticizing the pillars of the philosophies, which if we don't, how do we think about what we would want beyond what there is? Like, we have to be able to identify the water to swim through, to figure out, okay, if we don't want water, what do we do? What do we do? The water metaphor was probably that was probably torturing that metaphor a little too much. That was a little Abu Ghraib. Sorry, I don't know what that was.
All right. Well, I'm sure if you and I can come to agreement, that will fix everything.
So let's keep going.
I gotta go.
All right. Well, we haven't fixed it. If you got a solution for us, please go ahead and feel free to send it in. If you have a question, comment, you can send that to info@strategysolidarity.org. And as ever, you can find us here every Thursday, more or less. If you would like to hear this earlier than that, you can hear it raw and uncut at strategyandSolidarity.org, where we have been gaining new members. We'd love for you to be another one of those. And of course, you can also hear our member of the month, Chandler J. Woods. It's been lovely having conversation. Check that out. As ever, shout out to Amani Will for the use of Love of the Earth, our intro and outro song. You can find me if you just look it up on your Google or whatever your search engine is. That's the easiest place to find me. Hey, Theresa, where can they find you?
Unlike Carlos Cream Wyndham, who you can just Google Theresa Logan, there's more of them out there, but you can pretty much Google me too. But you can find me at TMC Logan on most of the social apps.
All right.
Most importantly, at strategyandSolidarity.org.
Okay, well, get with us. You had something else? I heard an
Definitely come sign up for Conflict Resolution for Anti-Fascists. We got another one coming up on June 3rd.
All right.
To see you in the live workshop.
Okay, well, there's a podcast.
All right. Take good care of yourselves out there.